One of the more challenging parts of being a travel agent is de-escalating negative situations with unhappy clients. After 12 years in the industry, I've interacted with a lot of clients, some of which were unhappy, to put it mildly. And I feel like I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work. So on this episode, I'm gonna share some of the tips that I learned on how to de-escalate negative situations with unhappy clients.
Welcome aboard. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. The Modern Travel Agent podcast starts now.
This episode is brought to you by Palladium Hotel Group. And one way that you can reduce the number of negative situations that have to be de-escalated is by making sure that you partner with a resort brand that has the same standard of service and vision for your client experience. At Modern, we love working with Palladium because we know that they're going to take care of our customers. We don't have to worry about our clients coming back from vacation furious about the quality of service that they received. Finding a great partner like Palladium is a fundamental part of growing your business. To learn more about their products and offerings, visit pro.palladiumhotelgroup.com. This episode is all about de-escalation, but a fundamental part of de-escalation is making sure that you understand where your client is coming from. On the general side, we're dealing with a big ticket item. And when people are spending thousands of dollars, there's an added level of stress and expectation. We're also often booking travel for special events like destination weddings, anniversaries, honeymoons, birthdays, family vacations, and all of these are emotionally charged events. Then there's the fact that traveling in general causes anxiety, this sort of fear of the unknown and not feeling like they're in control. And then you add the media on top of this, whose entire ad revenue model is all about driving traffic, and getting more clicks by sensationalizing and creating doomsday scenarios. This is always going to be a part of the job for a travel agent. There's always going to be anxiety. You're always going to need to diffuse these situations with your clients, by supporting them, by educating them, sometimes by just letting them vent and just listening to them. So I think the first step in de-escalation is just recognizing that this is going to happen, that these feelings that they're feeling are natural and normal and to be expected, and that it's our job to make them feel comfortable and to understand the truth of every situation. When you're talking about de-escalating a negative situation, one of the best ways to handle it is to try to avoid it in the first place. And one of the best ways to do that is to get in the habit of giving your clients clear-cut deadlines of when you're going to perform tasks and then following through on those promises. So for instance, I'm going to have your travel quote to you by 6 p.m. Central Standard Time today. When you do that, you can build this relationship and this expectation that when you say you're going to do something, you're going to follow through. This, of course, is great at reducing anxiety and uncertainty, and it makes it much less likely that your client's going to get bent out of shape. Another great thing that you can do is follow the sundown rule, which basically means that if you have anything pending, that you just follow up with your client to make sure that you give them an update so that they're not worried and thinking, oh, did he forget about me? Does he not care about me? You can just let them know. So an example would be, let's say you have a request for a room above allotment and you're waiting for the resort to get back to you, but they haven't replied yet. Just a simple email to say, hey, John, just want to let you know that I submitted the room request. We're still waiting to hear back from the hotel, but we should hear back within the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to continue to follow up with you and keep you updated. Staying in touch and managing expectations is a huge part of keeping the situation from becoming an issue in the first place. Ultimately, uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety creates negative storytelling. And so you don't want your client to start thinking in their head, oh, he forgot about me, he doesn't care about me, I'm not important to him. If you can stay in touch and make sure that they know that you're working behind the scenes for them, that will do a huge part in reducing the number of situations that become problems in the first place. Another part is when you receive emails with multiple exclamation points or question marks, don't even reply to the email. Literally pick up the phone and call them. That's always the most obvious sign. You can often read an email and just tell the client's a little bent out of shape. And so when I received emails like that, I didn't even bother replying to them. Because there's no way that's going to help. I immediately pick up the phone. A lot of times when you do that and you get them on the phone, you figure out exactly what the problem is and you can handle it before it escalates. But on the other end, it also sets an expectation that they can't just fire off emails like that, because every time that they do, you're immediately going to call them and they're going to have to explain exactly what the problem is, and they're going to have to walk through those issues. And so for those people who just like to, vent over email, if they get a phone call every single time they send one of those emails, they're going to stop sending those emails. When you're in conversation with unhappy clients, it's really important that you monitor your tone of voice, right? Because, even something as just being passive aggressive is enough to escalate it into a huge issue. So it's important to stay calm, to watch your tone of voice, and to just try to focus on being as kind and helpful as possible. A fundamental part of this is that you can't take it personally, right? You have to understand that if they're really upset, it most likely has more to do with what they're going through in their life than you. But even if they're unhappy with something that you did, you don't have to take that as a personal attack that you have to, your ego tells you have to defend yourself, right? Because when you let your ego talk, that's when situations get escalated even more. When you're talking with your clients, also the wording that you use really matters. You want to frame it as the two of y'all working together, coming together to solve a problem. And you want to be helpful. You want to make sure that they know that you're trying to help. Hey, John, just reaching out. I saw your email and that you're dealing with some issues. I'm really sorry to hear that you're having some problems. What can I do to help you out today? That's a lot better than, hey, John, I'm just calling to explain some things to you, which we might want to say sometimes, but it's never a good idea. So you want to give them an opportunity to explain their situation. You don't want to interrupt them. You don't want to go back and forth. You don't want to explain why they're wrong or why you told them that was going to happen. You're just going to let them talk about their problems. You're going to take notes, and then after they're done, you're going to repeat the issue back to them in terms that they would agree to, right? So you have to be charitable. And so it's going to be something like, hey, John, thank you for taking the time to explain this to me. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this issue. Just to make sure I understand, the main problem that you're dealing with is X. And then you say, I can totally understand why that would be frustrating because, this is supposed to be, planning a vacation is supposed to be fun and enjoyable. And I understand that this hasn't been an enjoyable experience. But I tell you what, we're going to get this fixed for you. What I'm going to do is. So it's important that they know, okay, that you're on their team. You care about the situation. You're there to help. And you're telling them exactly what you're going to do. Again, it's absolutely fundamental that you focus on the solution. You don't focus on the problem. You don't focus on, well, this is why that happened, or they don't care. They really don't. They just want to make sure something's taken care of. So everything in that communication about the problem is just as a means of understanding what the problem is. And then it's all solution oriented. When you tell them what you're going to do, you want to make sure that you tell them what you're going to do and by when. Again, hard deadlines keep any chance of anxiety creeping in, which then creates negative storytelling. You don't want to do that. It's, I will follow up with you by 4 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, right? That's an easy pass-fail test, and it keeps it from becoming an even bigger issue, and it also gives you the opportunity to start earning back trust. And again, once you're now in this solution-oriented mode, you follow the first steps of prevention, which is you manage their expectations, you give them clear-cut deadlines, you tell them what you're going to do for them, you make sure they know that you're there to help them, that you care, you make sure that there's no uncertainty, and you always follow the sundown rule. Don't let them be laying in bed at night wondering what's going on. Right? Every night they need to know exactly what's been done and what is going to be done the next day. This is the best way to save a negative situation. Once again, you can't change what happened in the past, but clients are typically pretty forgiving if you just show that you care, that you're there to help them out, that you're on the same team. It's the two of y'all working together to solve a problem. It's not you versus them. And clients will typically pick up on that. And even when you have issues and problems, it's often very possible to save the relationship. And again, even if, let's say, you don't want to continue to keep that person as a client in the future, you don't have to. But your business and the reputation of your business is built on doing everything you can to make sure that your clients are happy. So what I would always do if I had clients that were and I do mean like unreasonable, like the absolute most unreasonable, I would still do everything in my power to make sure that they were happy and to make sure that they walked away from the experience feeling like I had done everything I could. And then at that point, I get to make the decision whether or not I want to work with them again. But they decided to work with me. They gave me their business. I'm going to do everything I can within my power to make them happy with that one situation. Moving forward, we'll see if I decide to work with them again. But now these situations are never easy, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And ultimately, it's really just about making sure they understand that you're listening, that you care, that you're there for them, that you're solution-oriented, that you manage their expectations, that you don't focus on who's right or who's wrong or why something happened, and you keep them updated in every step throughout the process. If you do that, then 9 out of 10 times, this negative situation will be resolved, and you'll actually oftentimes end up building some pretty strong relationships with these clients. Until next time, take care.